I'm Jesi, or Mama to my high-spirited 5-year-old and 3-year-old boys. And I code and design websites and apps for a living. And yes, I work my magic in spite of all the furniture jumping and messes of my crazy office mates. So that's my superpower. I do all the things. And I work at home. I work from home as well. So imagine the chaos that I have to go battle every day from daybreak until their bedtime. And being a mother is very defining for me because I may not have found myself to be where I am now, which is quite simply the best possible situation that I can find myself in without my kids. So there is that, and it's a totally different ballgame if you're working not just for yourself but for tiny humans that you're trying to keep alive, right? So there is that profoundness to this whole game plan that I have in the background of my life. So as a coder and as a designer. So the pandemic was a catalyst. So pre-COVID, I was in the travel and tourism industry, and it was the hardest hit everywhere in the world, right? So I pivoted my career immediately at the onset of the lockdowns and social distancing. So I opted to break into tech and design in contrast to just waiting out the pandemic and doing nothing. So I can say that the pivot was surprisingly easy for me because I already had quite an interest in these roles, along with some technical experience from the previous hats that I was able to wear. So I used to also work as a tech support specialist. So my tech was already with me already at the onset of being a grown-up. So it was almost expected and organic that I gravitated towards front-end development and visual design. So had the pandemic not happened, I would still have proceeded with a career pivot because even as 2019 ended, I had felt that it was time for me to move on from my roles then. So they had already started to feel redundant and there was no more room for growth for me in those roles. So I worked with property management, Airbnb and stuff like that, and I handled travel. So I went and enrolled in an online coding school, and I signed up for other online communities, both local and global, which supported women, women of color, diversity, women in tech and design. I went out of my comfort zone, and the whole process was likened to a reinvention or a rehash, but it all felt just about the right time. Definitely parenting, homeschooling, and working from home during a pandemic. Definitely, I mean, hands down. And I'm surviving it by more mindfulness and intentional kindness. Because sometimes we forget that we are kind folks, right? So intentional kindness. And giving myself a little more grace for not being able to do everything as expected. So a grace for failing, but ultimately surviving the new normal, shall we say. So there is that. Jesse. Best bring spare face masks and spares for them too. So this simple admonition reflects the current events, what the world we are in now, and my general disposition about dealing with the unpredictability of the times. So it may just refer to the face masks in that statement, but it's profoundly about everything else in your life, in my life in that case. So I just prefer to be prepared. So it's better to keep sane by being prepared. And these times are very anxious. for everyone, especially for mothers and yeah, women in general, because we have these things that we call hormones. I'm pretty okay with it. I mean, I'm not exactly where I want to be in already, but it's a work in progress. Everything in life is a work in progress. So long as my family's comfortable enough to get by with the day to day, and we do not contract anything that we cannot afford, specifically getting sick. So that's enough for me. I mean, I count the littlest blessings. I mean, the cheap thrills, as I love to approach them, as we say. My message would be no one's coming. I mean, I remember this of a working moms episode, and it completely resonates with women. No one is coming to save you, so you better learn how to fend for yourself. So learn not to expect anything from anyone else, but be appreciative of sincerely offered help. I mean, we are not we can break down. I mean, we are not super people, so although we always have that label supermom and superwoman, all that. But it's really about being prepared for yourself and not expecting to be saved anymore. I mean, we are in 2021. So that's what I want to instill in the other women or in the other mothers, that always think that you have to look out for your own. I mean, don't expect that someone is coming to save you. Just save yourself already so that you can save your kids, right? How can mothers save the kids if they can save themselves, right? So there's that. I wanted to say something about promoting something about being a female coder and designer, which would have been so dope. But I'm a mother above all else, and it's by far the toughest of all my roles in this lifetime, so it deserves to be my label if there ever is a need for one. So before I was ever a coder or anything else, I'm a mother, and yes, I prefer to be the mama llama. I mean, if you do not know what that is, just look it up, just Google it. If there's ever a word that would come to mind, if women are to be referred to in general terms, it would be Gaia. That's it. Gaia to Mother Earth, Gaia being green, Gaia being productive. So that's the word.